My phone says 4:30. We can get started whenever you're ready, Gail.
Great. I now call this meeting to order. Roll call, please.
Gail Stevens,
Here.
Tim Denning,
Here.
Susan McLean is absent. We've got Del Weldon on the speakerphone.
Here, thank you. Hey, guys.
Yep, and myself.
All right. Can we review the minutes, please?
I make a motion, we approve the minutes.
I'll second that.
All in favor? Aye.
Aye. Do we have a staff report?
We've got one application before us. It meets all the other zoning requirements, and this is her last step. You guys have any questions on her design? I'm sure she'll listen to you. And then Susan's absent. She's wanting to resign from the board as of the first of the year. So we'll probably be looking for a new board member if you guys have any ideas.
Okay.
And Janie, you're up.
Okay. To speak into here. My name is Janie Von Loesch. I am before you all today to just put up our plan for you all to hopefully approve. We would like to put in a fence on the front yard or front portion of our lot. I live at 360 Short Street. And when I put in the permit for the fence, I found out that I was in the historic district. So that is why I'm here today. It felt like he had said that it matches all of the zoning requirements. So it's 4-foot fence and it's see-through. Well, you can visually see through. It's going to be a horizontal fence with some gaps in between each of the boards. And then we sit on a corner lot, so we only have one bordering neighbor. And so the corner is, our plan is, and if you look, I don't know what page it is, there's a design draw up where, yeah, so this design where it is white, where it's all completely white, is to indicate where we want to put brick, kind of like a brick facade. So concrete and then brick on the outside on the corner, and then two little like pedestal brick pillars by the entryway to the house. And I think it's more of an intricate design for a fence, I guess, but I think that the house itself has a lot of character, and I think it deserves a fence that has a little bit more style and character to it. So that's why I chose this design. So if you all have any questions for me, happy to answer.
I love your house, by the way.
Oh, thank you. Thank you, Tim.
I'd love to see the inside sometime.
Yeah, come on by. We didn't do any of that, so I can't take any credit for that. I'm sure you all saw there was a bunch of work done throughout the years, and we bought it pretty much turnkey, so.
Right on the corner, there's like a concrete post
Yeah.
and a iron fence. Tear that out.
Yeah, so that first, the iron fence is held up by T-bar right now. It's not the original construction of the iron fence. I don't know who put that in when. It is a really cool iron fence, but I looked up the price to get more iron fencing, and that is just so expensive. So yes, that will be taken down, the iron fence. And then from our understanding, we did ask around. So my wife works for the Archaeological Institute, RE, down here in Lawrenceburg, and so we actually were asking some of them if they knew what that it's kind of just like this, you can't really see it in any of these, but it's just like this like concrete block that sits just like about 2.5 feet maybe from like the grass line. So if you're at the sidewalk and then there's the grass, it sits about like 2.5 feet kind of inside of the property line, and it's just a cement block that looks kind of broken. But someone from our understanding is that they think that it was from a light post, that it used to be like a light, like an old light, like it maybe had a light on top of it or the light post went on top of it. If you all know what that is our best understanding of what that is. It's not in the ground. I can say that. It's not like it's put in the ground. But I don't know that the fence would even hit it, but I don't think we don't have any intentions of doing anything with it. It's just kind of this concrete block that came with the house. But yeah. But yes, you're correct. That's kind of right where this is.
I always thought that was a surveyor's marker.
I thought it was a cornerstone too, but it's not, has no imprints on it as far as like numbers or dates or anything like that.
Okay.
Yeah.
My thoughts about the fence is it looks modern.
Okay.
We're trying to preserve a historic feel for the historic district. Is there anything more historic that you've been able to find rather than something that's modern and contemporary?
I have the same concern that she has. The house is a beautiful 1850 historic home, sitting on the corner of a very prominent intersection. It gets a lot of traffic. And I feel like as Susan said, the fence is belongs to like a modern ranch rather than an 1850 historic home. The reference points don't match. And I'm just wondering, for that period of time, it was wrought iron, wood picket fences, mix of brick, concrete, and a combination of any of those possibilities. Have you done a little bit of research?
Yeah, I did all the research for this, and I've definitely researched it. So the mix of the brick and the concrete was to bring in, so like further down the street, there are fences that are kind of the whole perimeter is, the bottom is concrete, and then they put the wrought iron on top of the concrete, so it was like a foot of concrete. You'll see this closer to the levee. I don't know what street it is. I have a hard time remembering what it is, but it's kind of right past the little home boutique, but it has concrete, and then it has like a print on the concrete, and then it has now it's metal, but I would have assumed it was probably wrought iron that was sitting on top of it, and that seems to be pretty popular for the time. But that price point to pour that much concrete across, because our lot is 2 lots, so it's quite large. So to pour concrete across the whole base and to like mimic that is why I ended up taking in like doing the corner and kind of creating more of like, instead of just fence, post fence, post fence, post fence. That's why I did the corner and then the little, I don't know exactly what the little podium things are called, but the concrete brick and block by the entrance. So that's why I incorporated that.
Pillars.
Yeah, well,
That's what they're.
yeah, the pillar, yeah, okay. The pillars on the front of the house, so this house is, I can't think of this now. It is it's something with the columns, but it's like a Greek revival. That just came to me. So like the style of the front porch is a Greek revival. And then, to be honest, the whole horizontal thing, that was more of like the traditional like farmhouse look, like the farm fencing that's horizontal. Like if you look at like a horse pasture, you'll see like three horizontal fence lines. So I thought that was, in my mind, I thought that was more timeless in my mind. Like just horizontal fencing has been like done throughout time. So that's why I incorporated both of them together. So I don't know if you I've looked into wrought iron, which I had mentioned when Tim was asking, and then I brought in the brick and the concrete because of hopefully to add some more aesthetic look to it that felt more true to the time, I guess. But outside of wrought iron was like wildly expensive. So I can't afford to do that, and I can't afford to do the concrete on the bottom with the wrought iron on top or metal on top. But if you had other suggestions, I personally do not love a picket fence, like just the like scalloped looking picket fence. That is not my preference, which is why I tried to find something that I liked and that hopefully went with the time. But I would be happy to hear other suggestions.
Well, I printed off a few ideas. Not that anyone is like what I'm saying, do this, but it does give you some Pinterest points to kind of look at and maybe combine materials that might be more affordable. I hear what you're saying about creating something that is timeless. But the fencing that you've chosen is really contemporary feeling. It doesn't, for me, it doesn't reference the farmhouse feeling that you were talking about. And so I see the reference to the pillars and the edging of the, at the corner of the intersection there. That also coming at a sharp angle when there's this nice rounded point is also a bit of an issue to me, because I would want to see that curve mimic the curve of the sidewalk there as well, rather than coming to a sharp point, because aesthetically that part doesn't work for me. But you're welcome to take these and just kind of see.
Yeah, I'd be happy to look at them.
Yeah, that's when I thought maybe that was what we were looking at, and I was going, yes.
Yeah,
I like
yeah.
that top one. I didn't see what the other ones are.
So the traditional picket fence that you're talking about, I'm not fond of it either, but there are some interesting fences in there that can give you some reference points, and they're all a little different. There's several picket fences, and I hear you about the wrought iron. I had a feeling that was going to be expensive. But there's flat top, there's, skinny, there's wide, and they're all open fencing. So they all would allow you to see through the fence, which is also, I think, important.
Okay, I would have to obviously take these back. We are intending to stick with wood, or like that's our intention. I know that the mixture of the metal, or I guess they are all metal. There's some wood. Most of these are metal.
No, there's a few metal, and then I think there's three wood, 3 metal, something like that.
Yeah, I think this one's plastic. Yeah, I mean, I'll absolutely take it back. I'm not the only, my wife would have to look into it. And then we have the guy that has proposed the work, or to do the work. And we talked about to just address the corner, it being pointed versus curved. We talked about that. And I did a corner in this just because I drew this up on my own, like on the computer, so I don't really have the skill to I didn't know how to really bend it too well. But I did ask him about that, and he said that he could try to go with it, but that it is just, that makes it, the job is just, it just makes it more complicated. So, but his quote was for time and material, and I think that he went over a little bit on the time and material for the fact that I'm asking for a couple more items that he generally doesn't do every day. So he put in there that it was going to take him a little bit longer than most fences that he's doing. So, but yeah, and then I guess because I'm looking at what you have and then what I had, the smallness of, I guess, the gaps, why I went with something that was a little bit smaller in gaps is that we have 3 dogs. And they are out often. And so to have something that no one can reach in, part of why we want a front fence is, one, to give them more space to run around, because that'd be nice, but also to not have that, the reaching in portion, because we have a fence in the back that we need to create less people reaching over the top and doing things, because that has become pretty common. So that's kind of why I had a tighter look to the wood, or with less space. So if maybe I could find something that, I don't know, would you guys all, for something that's more vertical, if they were tighter, if I put a even smaller one in between it,
Can you bring that?
would you be?
Yeah, I'm sorry.
What are your thoughts on that? So if these were even tighter, but they were vertical, so similar to
The vertical,
would that be?
I think the vertical is
something?
important, because your building is very vertical. And I think that would work. You're talking about something, the
less
same kind of space,
space.
but tighter spacing.
Yeah.
As long as it still has that see-through, the view-through capacity, that would be the important point, I would think.
Okay, I'm sure that for him, or for the construction guy, I'm sure just flipping the wood wouldn't make that much of a difference on what the job is. So I would be open to this type of design with, if it being wood and then just like creating smaller spaces, if that's something that you all would be okay with.
Is the fence, the length of the fence, is it as pictured, or is it going to go around the entire property?
So on the page, they're not numbered, but so this page, and then if you flip over on the same fold, you'll see that it, there's an outline where it's red, and that is where the fence will be. So it is a front yard, it's a outward facing, like front yard sidewalk facing fence. So no, it doesn't go around the entire building. So, to answer your question, no, it's gonna meet at the house at each end. So if you look in the back, it's gonna meet the house on one corner and then on the other side.
Oh, I see.
Yeah, and the other point would be that this bordering property here is, my neighbor he's fell into a wheelchair. And so right now, our fence that we have in the back, we've left open space so that he has a fence opening at the bottom. And so he often goes down this property line here to get into his fence. And so we're gonna keep that 4 feet off of our property line so that he can continue to get there, because he grows tomatoes and all sorts of stuff on the side of his fence. So that's another note, is that it's not gonna press right up against really our only neighbor, our only bordering neighbor.
I got you. Well,
Any more questions, concerns?
does this property fall in the historic district?
This is a historic protected property, yes.
Okay.
Can we ask her to come back with a proposal? Or the design on that?
Either ask her to come back or approve one that's just flipped.
I would like to see the new design, personally, if that's okay.
I mean, you guys have to tell me if it's okay. I would, I would probably submit something very similar to what you have. Yeah, I mean, we would like to get it put in sooner than later. I know it seems weird during the winter, but oddly, the guy that's doing it doesn't mind working on fences in the winter, which, okay, fine by me. But, so, yes, that is, yeah, we intend to go, we intend to take this then to Main Street to hopefully get
Hey,
the
guys.
grant that then.
Yes, sir.
Hey, John, could we approve our plan with the changes that have been suggested pending a review by Gail? And so we'll approve it. She'll get us a new conceptual. If Gail is okay with it, it's just over. If Gail's not okay with it, then we'll put it on to the January meeting. That way they can get started if it's what Gail's asking for. We don't think that make them come back in a month.
Gail, what do you think about that?
I think Susan wanted to see it as well. We were both interested in seeing
can
the
they both-
design.
Sorry.
Can they both look at it
Gail and
independently?
Susan. Yeah, all three of them can. And if
Yeah.
any of the three members say, no, let's have another meeting. But if all three members are like, yeah, this is basically what we talked about.
As long as you
then
review
we-
it independently and don't meet, it doesn't constitute a meeting, so.
Okay, so
Can we do that?
I'm comfortable doing that, yes.
so just so I understand, because I couldn't hear everything he said, is that?
I would
she-
need a motion to accept her presentation based on our discussion tonight with flipping the fence. With
Pending the
approval
approval.
pending independent review by the board members. And I'll work with you all three directly, so you're not working with each other. And I'll get your opinion on it, and if we get 2 out of 3, we'll run it.
All right,
That sound good, Dell?
yes, it does, thank you.
Yeah, so we would only come back in January if one of the three members objects.
Okay, that'll work, because we need all 3. Got it.
All right,
But I just want to say, as in that picture that you're looking at, there is a design element to it, so I would hate for it to just come back straight, boom, 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 like lined up flat. You know what I'm saying? That's another contemporary design then, if you just have flat sticks, one right after another, making a fence. Does that make sense?
It does make sense. So in the references that I gave you, and I did an internet search, for fencing for mid-1800 homes, Victorian homes, and it kind of really gave you a lot of varied choices. And so I just did a selection there. And if you look at all those picket fences, they're all different, and they all have a unique personality. So you could take and borrow from what you see there to create something that has visual interest, because that was your initial statement, is you wanted to have something that has as much character as the house. And your house has a ton of character. So I would love to see that reflected in the fencing as well, because that is, the house is not separate from the fence. It's like they belong together. So it would be great to see the marriage of the aesthetics come together in a way that when you walk into the fence, you're already walking into your home.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
That they're complementary to
Yeah.
each other in the same time frame.
Yeah, exactly. I don't know, I hope that helps a little.
Yeah.
Did you know your house used to be a doctor's office?
No, I had no idea. No, I learned stuff about this house all the time. I did not know.
If you go to the courthouse and do a deed search, the history of it, you'll find exactly when it was built and who originally built it, and I believe it was a doctor.
I wonder, so our basement is really tall for a basement that was, for a house that would have been built in the 1850s. And then I know other people have told me that the house, or that Lawrenceburg had like it got filled in with dirt at some point, or like a bunch, like they kind of like put in, I don't know if it was like a fill of like a certain area, but I've always wondered if the basement was the original house, and they kept kind of going up from there, because the basement has a lot of windows in it, like a lot of windows, like 5, like all around.
That was the doctor's office.
Like all around it, and there's multiple doors, like they don't all function anymore. I mean, they've closed up the windows, but you can see exactly where they used to be. And I'm like, this looks like it was a house, and then maybe all filled in around it, and then they've just gone up, because the basement's like so interesting. I mean, like kind of cool, but very interesting as far as how many openings there would have been for it to be dirt. So, yeah, I would. And then I know that it's one of the houses that's pictured in the library, historical. I don't know what the book is that they have, but when Lawrenceburg went through the flood, and it said that our house is one of the houses that survived like both floods or something, and it has a picture of our house, which I have seen that, which I thought that was pretty cool. But I haven't done a deed search, and nor had I heard about the doctor's office.
But getting back to those concrete blocks, what I've always have thought, and I think I learned from visiting Williamsburg probably, is they would have concrete blocks out near the dirt road to step up onto to get to the carriages.
That's interesting. Yeah, because it's like a smaller. They're not super tall. They're like, yeah, they're like kind of like, they're pretty short. They're like kind of stumpy, but I like the ones that are a little bit shorter. And then they have like lights on them, but I don't know if we're gonna run electric out there quite yet, but that would be nice. That's an interesting fact.
Would you like me to make a motion?
Yes.
Okay, I make a motion that her concept is approved, and that she will get back to this group. John will meet with us one at a time, and if we get 2 out of 3 people that agree, then it'll pass. Does that make sense?
Dell, you want to do 2 out of 3 or 3 out of 3?
Right.
I think it was 3 out of 3.
I would say if anyone has an objection, we'll make her come back.
Okay.
So all 3 would need to be okay with it.
You willing to amend your motion?
Yes, I'll amend it to
3 out of 3? Okay.
I second the motion.
All in
Yeah.
favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Well, thank you all. Thank you for your images.
All right.
And then I just need to email you?
Email me with what you need,
Okay,
and we'll take care of it.
okay. Thank you all. Have a good evening.
You're welcome, thank you.
Second.
Oh, sure.
Is there any old business?
I have no old business.
All right, I adjourn this motion, or I adjourn this meeting,
Let's take a motion to adjourn.
make a motion to adjourn.
I second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, we are adjourned.
Okay, now we're adjourned.
You guys are awesome. Have a good night. Thank you.
Thank you.
Stuff.
Good luck, dear.
Oh, thank you, Tim.
See if I can get some pictures.
Okay.
Some of my neighbors lived there from the 70s to the
Oh, really? Okay, yeah. That'd be awesome.
family.
Oh, wow.
Building next door here, home furniture, ended up doing all that work too.
Yes, I've talked to him. Yeah, that's who we bought it from, and we didn't.
Joe Brandel.
Yeah. And I think it passed through like 2 hands before him. And the like,